Brendan here, and this is Greenstorming, and I'm working through some care task problems. So basically, I'm doing a caregiving job, and I have some challenges doing tasks, and I'm trying to work through this. So the thing is, I am an INTJ on the Myers-Briggs Jungian objective personality system, and specifically, I have extremely well-developed introverted intuition and somewhat extroverted intuition and extroverted thinking in the sense of concepts and all this stuff, and understanding of the world, and introverted thinking in terms of having done a lot of workshopping of concepts and so on paper and so on. And I've cross-referenced these to some degree, and or intended to, with sensomotor references and so on. But the thing is, this is kind of my own language, or I haven't heard this language combined with Myers-Briggs Jungian approach, but instead of sensation, like introverted sensation or extroverted sensation, or in addition, I conceptualize my sensomotor nervous system, and it's like that whole, everything having to do with that, like including the introverted sensation of like planning tasks, is complicated. And it's especially complicated because it's like the extroverted sensing of like doing things in the environment, and the introverted sensing of planning sequences of steps in the environment are not very well aligned, even though I've sort of developed them and have them accessible to some degree. It's like, then there's energy issues with keeping them energized, and then it's also just time management. Like I have something like what is called time blindness. I just cannot keep track of time or notice the passing of time, or it's, I mean, maybe at times I can, but it's very not, I'm not usually operating with a sense of how much time is passing. A lot of time can pass, and then, so I'm trying to be accountable for my job performance with the caregiving household tasks, and just like self-care and food and stuff. And then I'm also managing like a extremely dire financial situation, which has been kind of on the brink for quite a while, and then my pay is at risk of being significantly reduced or going away because of this whole complex set of things. So what I want to focus on here is, broadly, my intention is to produce a guide to navigating life, both in terms of making sort of wayfinding decisions on like where to be, what to do, people to, it's like who to, it's like finding and connecting with people in work situations and so on, where it's workable, and how the communication process of sharing about oneself and learning about others works to facilitate that, or it is often not working well the way things are. And then more specifically, sorting out a strategy for getting his house cleaned and keeping up with these different tasks that are just mounted, like that I need to do. So, um, and if I could find help, that would be great. But then finding help with any of this, it ends up to being all people who are dealing with too much of it. Same thing. If they, the more they understand what's going on, and then so the alternative would be sort of bring on people as apprentices to like learn about all the stuff involved in care and advocacy and care coordination and self-development and the communication tangles and trauma and all this stuff. And it's like with advocacy, it's largely advocacy where, I mean, as an advocate, what I've discovered is that often there's no, it surpasses the limits of professional expertise for whatever the associated profession or professions would be, or it's at the very edges of that professional expertise, which I've had to search far and wide to find where that's at, but I have for all these different professions. So, and then a lot of the people-related professions are working with, I mean, there's an understanding, or it's talked about, like the curriculum, the education for these fields is not what it should be, but then it's like what should be done about it, and a lot of the talk about that is sort of incremental change, with one exception being this book, Epistemic Fluency in Professional Education. So, I mean, in short, what I need to do today is take steps to get the house cleaned and also make progress on editing a document or some documents, and I also have in mind writing up a summary of sort of the layers of my differences, like why didn't I figure this stuff out over the past several years. And it's largely because I was like, well, I need to find help, either kind of with what I'm doing personally with the knowledge workshopping and my task challenges, or ultimately coordinating money. And then so it's like, it's like find clients or build a product. So it's like I have this idea of a guide to life that is centered on not just like individual quests and store one hero's journey, but basically a collective journey approach that is kind of dialed into the state of humanity and making sense of one's place in a world on fire, at least at a given point in time, or where to endeavor next, or overall. So it's like I have it here: persistently unfinished tasks, ongoing problems, and then, so what I'm hoping, and time management is kind of almost a ridiculous concept for me. It's like, I mean the concept can be fine, but it's like time accountability, like how it's almost like I use time, or I navigate time doing things, and then I can reflect on how I've spent that time and update what I should be doing, or I can decide what to do in a given moment. But what I need to do is this thing that's harder for me of like, let's say shifting between 15 minutes of video and 20 minutes of cleaning, like I've been doing on these task assistance calls, but I haven't been doing video. And there's so many layers of things to address, but I'll just briefly show. I have this larger layout here. It's like care notation, what you need and aspire to, and then sorting out those needs being met. And then on the right, knowledge weaving, process, and it's like what you know and what you need to know. So, yeah, so, and then it's like, what is a scholarly work and all this stuff, and then there's like the idea of knowledge work or knowledge problems, more soon.